I love that feeling of dominant well-being that kind of comes. I had one experience where I'd been meditating a lot, and I was just in the right space, streamed the consciousness of a friend's dad that had passed away, and I felt just an overwhelming appreciation for kind of what was coming through me. And it just radiated from everywhere.
We want to tell you something that most may not realize. When somebody that you care about has just made their transition, they are non-physically focused, they are pure positive energy, therefore have no resistance, they are in that very high vibration, and they're focused on you. And so when you become mutual with their thought, that's what that's all about. You were tuned in to that. Yes.
Absolutely. So for days, it didn't matter what type of contrast came. I could just feel that.
And think about why. Think about why that was. Well, one reason is when somebody you know dies, you just can't bring yourself to talk smack about them for a while. We're sort of kidding, but not really. At funerals and such, they say the nicest thing about people they never liked. There's something about you that makes you want, now we know in this case it was an easy thing to do. We're not even implying a little bit that you were making anything up, you can't. But there is sort of a tendency to be more ready to look for positive aspects. And your expectation about where they are, or where you think they are, causes your vibration to rise too, doesn't it? We're just wanting you to feel the sort of logic of why it would feel the way it does.
So after that experience...
So it lasted for days, and can you pinpoint when it stopped lasting?
Yes. Yeah, when it started creeping in, just, things at work that would normally kind of stress you out.
Other things started getting your attention, and so you began focusing on things that were less satisfying. And eventually there was an erosion of that fantastic feeling of mutuality. Yes.
Yeah. Overall, my satisfaction has definitely increased since that experience.
Yes.
And I think my level of vibration has raised for sure. And I'm looking for the balance between that satisfaction and enjoying the moment, that progression of wanting that feeling again and being able to call it into being and have that allowance. So I guess it's really the balance between desire, progression, and allowing.
There is only balance in any of that. You're talking all about the same thing. The allowing, the alignment, that's just you finding mutuality with your own inner being. The balance that you're wanting to pay attention to is the balance between that, those things that you said which are all the same thing, and real life, where there are so many humans, mostly humans, that are asking you for your attention to be given to them. Problems, situations, circumstances, bills, and so forth. You get what we're driving at? In other words, you use the word balance, and what we want to help you to feel is that the balance that you're always seeking is between your tendency to be human and negative and your desire to be non-physical and positive. The balance between wanting to be satisfied where your inner being always is, always looking at the positive aspects, and your humanness, which is being objective, weighing the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses and facing reality and so forth. So we use balance more in relationship to those two pieces of the equation, because there's only balance in the pieces you were pointing out.
Right. So kind of related to the allowance side, it's just a kind of curiosity, is started off really resonated with the path of least resistance.
Stop for just a moment. Think about what the path of least resistance is. The path of least resistance is the path that your inner being is calling you to, where you have the least resistant thoughts and can follow along. In other words, it's the path of your least resistant thoughts. Look at it this way. Your inner being knows where you are and where you want to be in relationship to where you are, and knows what the least resistant path is, and is with you all day, every day, offering satisfying thoughts to lead you along that least resistant path. Haven't heard it like that before, have you? The path of least resistance is the path you're on that you feel the most satisfied on. So, for example, it's sort of like children who are going past the candy store and they want candy and their mother is trying to get their attention over here instead. Well, your inner being is always calling you, wanting to get your attention to things that your inner being knows are satisfying to you that will just lead to more and more and more and more and more. We interrupted you. Can you remember where you were headed with that?
Absolutely. Path of most allowance. We don't hear about it. We hear more path of resistance.
Well,
does it matter?
No.
Like, I really like the idea of...
It would be more positive for us to say path of most allowance. But we want to acknowledge that you do have resistance on your path and that it's okay. And that it's logical that you would. And it's no big deal because your inner being knows where all of it is and is guiding you around it. So, again, that balance that you're talking about. If you're going 100 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's a bigger problem than if you're going 5 miles an hour and you hit a tree. So sometimes humans would conclude, since hitting the tree is a problem, that they'll just go 5 miles an hour from now on. And we say, that's no fun. That's no fun. You want to go way fast and you just want to pay attention to what you're doing. Think about being in a really beautifully designed car that has a very low profile and it's got a gear ratio that's perfection and it is a mechanical genius.
I'm there.
And Esther is too. And when you get in it, you're not just looking for one big old straight road with a sign on it that says 100 miles an hour is okay. You want to get on some of those mountain roads. You want to feel that car do things other cars don't do. You want to drive it. Most of all, you want to feel your ability to take it where you want it to be. It's the trail of diversity that makes your interest in the journey so sweet. But humans think, just give me a direct path from here to here, and when I get over there, then I'll be happy. And we say, no, it's the driving really fast with lots of things that you have to pay attention to that is the sweetness of life.
When I had that sense of well-being, that's exactly what it was for those 2 days. It was just like wonder and everything in every moment almost. So.
Yeah. Well, you were in sync with your inner being who knows where the wonder is. And most important, here's the piece we want you to hear, knows how much magic and wonder. It's not magic, but that's a good word. You like the word. It feels sweet to you. So your inner being knows where the most magic is that you can let in. Your inner being is completely aware of the capacity that you have in every moment in time for the magic. So imagine if you're practicing being satisfied, less and less resistance that you're introducing to the equation. So more and more momentum in that feeling of satisfaction. Can you imagine what you are queued up for your inner being to point out to you? Now, don't misunderstand us. We need to be very clear about this. Your inner being is not holding back on the magic. Your capacity to acknowledge it is what the holdup is. We are not saying, well, we could point him over there, but he's not really ready for that trip. Everything that you're asking for, a path is being highlighted for you. But sometimes you're just sort of dense.
Are you talking to me? Not me, right?
You just don't have the ability to sharply focus and see some of those special trails that have so much potential for satisfaction. It's like you just want to stay on the main thoroughfare and go as fast as you can when there's so much in all those other places that can thrill and delight you and satisfy you even more.
So I've noticed times when I have been really satisfied and all of a sudden it's just like, whoa, and I'm there and I'm just like, whoa. And it could be just in everyday life when you're just driving down the highway and all of a sudden the colors just pop and I'm like, oh wow, how did I get there? Right?
It usually is just everyday life because all of this magic is woven into what you are living. Esther was listening to a couple at the airport the other day who apparently were going to California, and they were starting out in Santa Monica, and Esther listened to the whole itinerary, and she so wanted to tell them of all the places that she knows are all around all of those places. But she sat and minded her own business, which was hard for her to do, while she listened to them plan their week. And she could feel their tension as they were trying to figure out how many miles it was from this to this and what they were going to do about that. And Esther thought, oh, wouldn't it be just the most wonderful thing if you could just show up there all refreshed and just follow your impulse to not just the places that you want to see, but to the timing of the good stuff in the places. This is what you said, and we're wanting to say back to you. It's not so much about the places that you're going. It's about the timing of the rendezvousing with who else is at that place, with what else is at that place. One day, Jerry and Esther were driving down the canyon. It's Oak Creek Canyon in Sedona. And it was October 16th, and it was about 2:40 in the afternoon. And the sun was shining through the trees, and the trees looked like they were on fire. And they had never seen anything so beautiful or magical as that drive down that canyon on that day. So they put it on their calendar, and for the next 3 years, they got a bus. They were living in Phoenix at the time, and they loaded all those who were near and dear to them on the bus on October 16th, started at the top of that canyon and drove down it for that timing, and never rendezvoused with anything close to that again. Because you can't put it on the calendar. It's about who you are and what you're offering and what you've put into your vortex and the cooperative components that have been gathered in your vortex and your inner being's incredible, alert, and accurate and intimate knowledge of every single thing that's in that in relationship to where you might be. So that the more tuned you are to satisfaction, then the more open you are to be receptive and responsive to the impulses that come, and the more day after moment magic that you live. Not just grind, and then go to California for a week and try to cram everything good that you can into a week's time. Esther felt exhausted for them. And they were arguing about what they should spend their time doing. She wanted to go to Hearst Castle. He couldn't care less. And Esther wanted to say, go there. But take the personally guided tour. That way you can just skip over the stuff you really don't like and look at the stuff you really do like. She wants to be their inner being.
I get a really good sense for kind of that pure positive perspective energy that, when somebody passes, it could be, the best, most holy person, or it could be, the person who steals candy from babies. When you pass over, that pure positive energy is just given to everyone. So
the thing is, every moment that someone was in their physical form and they were on par with something other than who they really are, so they were experiencing maybe some of those things that you might judge as inappropriate, or that they might judge as not feeling very good when it happened. The wonderful thing about making the transition into non-physical is that all of this goes away and they immediately come here. They immediately join the vibrational frequency of who they are. And so now their view of Earth, and they still have one, is through the eyes of Source.